Welcome to Taste China Learn English.
Hello, everyone.
Imagine walking in from a freezing cold street, right? And someone hands you a steaming bowl of soup that smells, well, absolutely dangerous.
Oh, yes, that sharp fermented funk.
Exactly. It has this smell that instantly tells your brain to run away. Yet, millions of people consider this exact dish the ultimate warm hug. It is the ultimate comfort food.
It really is.
So today we are doing a deep dive into a wonderful guide. It is titled Rice Noodles, the Silky Soul of South China.
A fantastic source.
And we have a great mission for you today. We are bringing two amazing things together. First, we are discovering the absolute ultimate Chinese comfort food. And second, we are learning some highly descriptive, very useful English vocabulary along the way.
Which is so important.
Right, because when you are learning a new language, the words that really stick in your memory are the ones you can feel and smell and taste.
That sensory connection, it is incredibly powerful for language acquisition. It helps you remember. And to truly understand why rice noodles are considered the soul of South China, well, we have to start with the physical experience.
Yes, the way it feels.
Exactly. The English words we use to describe the physical texture of this food, they are just as crucial as the words we use for the taste, because the physical structure of the noodle actually controls everything else that happens in the bowl.
I really want to look closely at that idea of comfort because the guide draws a very stark contrast for us. Sometimes, food is deliberately designed to be intense.
That is very true.
Take stinky tofu, for example. The guide describes it as a shock to the system.
A shock, yes.
A shock is sudden. It is startling. It is like jumping straight into a freezing cold swimming pool. Your whole body just tenses up.
It wakes you up immediately.
Right. But a bowl of rice noodles, the guide describes that as a warm hug.
A beautiful phrase.
Think about coming inside on a bitter, windy day and someone you love wraps their arms around you. Your shoulders drop. You instantly feel safe and you feel relaxed. That is a warm hug.
And that physical sensation of comfort, it begins the very second the noodle touches your mouth. The fundamental English words that define this feeling are silky and smooth.
Silky is such a vivid word for our listeners. It obviously comes from silk, right? The very soft, luxurious fabric.
Exactly like the fabric.
So if a food is silky, it means there is absolutely zero friction. There are no rough edges. It is not grainy at all. It just, it glides effortlessly across your tongue.
It does. But, a noodle cannot merely be soft.
Wait, really? Why not?
Well, if you take rice flour and you only make it soft, it just turns into mush.
Oh, I see. It would fall apart.
Right. It will just dissolve into a cloudy liquid in your soup. So it needs an internal architecture, it needs strength. And that brings us to two other essential physical words we need to learn: springy and chewy.
Let's talk about springy. Think of a small metal spring, like the spring inside a pen.
That is a great visual.
If you press that spring down with your finger, it bounces right back up, right? It pushes back. So a springy noodle pushes back against your teeth. It resists you.
Yes. And chewy means you actually have to work your jaw. It is not baby food. It demands some physical effort from you when you eat it.
And according to the guide, you can actually see the structure before you even pick up your chopsticks.
You can. Unlike standard yellow wheat noodles, which are solid and opaque, high-quality rice noodles are translucent.
Translucent. That is a word that it trips up a lot of English learners.
It can be tricky.
Translucent means that light passes through an object, but not perfectly. For example, a clear glass window is transparent. You see right through it.
Completely clear.
Right. But a translucent noodle, it glows slightly. It is delicate and a little bit milky. It captures the light. The guide compares the look to white jade, that beautiful polished stone.
A very poetic comparison.
But looking at the source material, I am honestly a bit confused here.
Oh, why is that?
Okay, let's unpack this. These noodles look translucent. They look incredibly delicate, almost like they would melt in your mouth like cotton candy. Yet, the guide uses the phrase al dente to describe the bite.
Ah, yes, al dente.
Al dente is actually an Italian phrase, but we use it in English specifically for pasta. It means to the tooth. It describes a noodle that remains very firm in the center when you bite it.
It resists the bite.
Exactly. So, how does a delicate, slightly glowing white noodle survive a firm bite? Seems like a physical contradiction.
It does seem like a contradiction, but it comes down to the fascinating mechanics of how they are made. You see, Italian pasta relies on wheat gluten.
Gluten, right.
Gluten is a protein. It acts like a rubber band inside the dough, providing that chew. But rice has absolutely zero gluten.
None at all.
None. So to create that al dente firmness, noodle makers have to use a different mechanism. When the rice flour is mixed with water, steamed flat, and then stretched, something chemical happens.
The stretching changes it.
Yes. The heat and the physical pulling, they force the starch molecules to align and lock together. They form very tight bonds.
So the steaming and the pulling actually change the internal structure of the starch.
Exactly. The process gelatinizes the starch. It creates a strong, elastic structure without needing any gluten at all.
That is amazing.
It really is. Visually, the noodle looks delicate. It looks translucent, so your brain sees it, and your brain expects it to just melt away on your tongue.
Because it looks so fragile.
Right. But when you bite down, your teeth hit those tightly locked starch bonds. The visual delicacy, it tricks your brain. It makes the physical bounce feel incredibly surprising.
So that is how it achieves an al dente texture while looking totally fragile. The way it looks actually sets up a trap for how it feels.
It tricks your expectations perfectly.
But obviously, a plain translucent noodle just sitting in an empty bowl, that is not much of a meal.
No, it is not.
Because it has that firm, bouncy structure, it needs an environment, it needs liquid, and it needs toppings to bring the whole dish to life.
The noodle is like a blank canvas, but it is a very strong structural canvas. And the foundation of the flavor built around it, well, that is the broth.
The soup base.
Yes. And because the noodle itself is neutral, broths operate on a massive spectrum. On the gentler side of the spectrum, you find broths that are light and clear.
Light and clear. Let's define those for our listeners. Light means it is not heavy on the stomach. It is gentle.
Yes, very gentle.
And clear means you can literally see through the liquid all the way to the bottom of the bowl. It is delicate and simple.
But if you travel to the complete opposite end of the spectrum, broths become rich and robust.
Rich and robust. Great words.
Rich, in a culinary context, it usually implies a high fat content. It means a very deep, layered flavor profile.
And robust means strong, powerful, and full-bodied.
Exactly. Now, Galen noodles offer a perfect example of this heavier extreme.
Galen, that is a stunningly beautiful city in South China, right? Famous for those dramatic mountains.
It is. And their signature noodle dish, it does not rely on a delicate, clear broth at all. They use something much heavier. They use gravy.
Gravy. That is a thick, dense sauce. Traditionally in English, we make gravy by thickening the savory juices of cooked meats with some kind of starch.
Yes. And the cooks in Galen, they do not stop with just the thick gravy. They layer the dish with assorted toppings.
Assorted, meaning a wide mix of different things.
Right. They build a medley of aggressive flavors. A medley is a mixture. So you have roasted peanuts, sour pickled long beans, and thick slices of braised beef all mixed together.
Okay, I am trying to visualize eating this, and I keep hitting a wall.
What do you mean?
Well, you have a delicate, silky noodle. Then you pour a thick, heavy meat gravy all over it.
Yes.
And on top of that, you throw in a medley of really loud ingredients, sour pickled beans that make your mouth pucker up, hard, crunchy peanuts.
It's a lot of intense textures.
Right. So doesn't all of that completely overpower the rice noodle? Doesn't the delicate, translucent element just get entirely crushed under all that culinary noise?
You would naturally assume the noodle would get lost. I mean, it seems like it should. But this is exactly where that al dente physical structure we just discussed proves its worth.
How so?
Think of the noodle's springy, elastic texture as a shock absorber on a car.
A shock absorber. Oh, I like that. So the heavy gravy and the crunchy peanuts, those are the bumpy, intense road.
Precisely. The spurty architecture of the rice noodle, it absorbs all of that sensory intensity. The thick gravy clings to the outside of the noodle, highlighting its silky surface.
But the inside stays firm.
Yes, the inside of the noodle resists the bite. It does not break down into mush. The noodle acts as an anchor, holding the entire heavy medley together.
That makes perfect sense.
If the noodle were simply soft, the texture of the whole dish would just be chaotic. It would be overwhelming. The springiness is what tames those rich ingredients.
So the noodle doesn't compete with the flavor. It physically manages the weight of it. That is brilliant. Now, if we are exploring intense flavors and heavy gravies, we have to look at the absolute extreme edge of noodle culture.
We do. To understand the full scope of what a rice noodle can handle, we have to examine Luosifen, which translates to river snail rice noodles.
Here's where it gets really interesting. Luosifen is widely described in the guide as polarizing.
A very strong word.
It is. If you think of the North Pole and the South Pole of the Earth, right? They are on complete opposite ends of the globe.
As far apart as possible.
Exactly. So if a food is polarizing, it means it divides people into two extreme camps. There's absolutely no middle ground. You either love it passionately or you want it banned from your house.
And the polarizing nature of Luosifen, it comes entirely from its aroma, its smell. The culprit behind that famous room-clearing smell is the pickled bamboo shoots.
Pickled bamboo shoots. Let's break that down. Pickling means preserving a food in an acidic liquid like vinegar or a salty brine.
Right. And that process fundamentally alters the plant's chemistry. The resulting bamboo shoots are described as sour and piquant.
Sour is a familiar concept for our learners. It is the taste of a lemon that makes the sides of your jaw tingle. But piquant is a wonderfully descriptive English word.
It is a great vocabulary word.
It doesn't just mean spicy. If a flavor is piquant, it has a sharp, slightly aggressive bite to it that is surprisingly appetizing. It wakes up your palate.
It certainly does.
But eating Luosifen really sounds like a cinematic plot twist.
A plot twist? How do you mean?
Well, a plot twist in a movie is when the story leads you to expect one thing and then something completely surprising happens instead.
Ah, I see.
So you sit down, the bowl arrives, and you get hit with this sour, piquant, funky smell. To a lot of people, it literally smells dangerous. Your instincts tell you, do not eat this.
Right. Run away.
Exactly. But the plot twist, if you stay and you actually take a bite, your reward is a massive wave of umami flavor.
What's fascinating here is the mechanism behind umami. It explains this entire culinary plot twist. Umami is a Japanese word, but we now use it universally in English to describe the fifth fundamental taste.
The fifth taste.
Yes. We all know sweet, sour, salty, and bitter. Umami is that deep, savory, mouth-coating richness. It is the taste of roasted mushrooms or aged cheese or a slow-cooked beef stew.
But wait, why does a sour, terribly smelly bamboo shoot create umami? What is the connection between that funky smell and the savory reward?
It all comes down to the biology fermentation. When those bamboo shoots sit in the pickling brine, enzymes and harmless bacteria begin breaking down the plant's proteins.
They break them down into smaller pieces.
Yes, into smaller building blocks called amino acids. And specifically, they create a lot of glutamate. Glutamate is the very molecule that registers on our tongues as umami.
So the physical breakdown of the protein during fermentation is what generates that deep, savory taste.
Exactly. Now, the byproduct of that fermentation process is a lot of volatile compounds. And those compounds create that strong, funky, polarizing smell.
So the smell is a natural result of the process.
Right. But humans have actually evolved to seek out that smell. Our brains know what it means. Our bodies constantly need protein to survive. So when we smell that fermented funk, our biology recognizes that a massive payload of amino acids is waiting for us.
It recognizes the umami.
Yes, an easily digestible source of nutrition.
So the polarizing smell is essentially an aggressive, stinky advertisement for the amazing flavor hidden inside. You just have to be brave enough to read the ad.
That is a perfect way to look at it.
Yeah.
The funk is the promise of savory depth.
Wow. We have covered so much ground today, from warm hugs to polarizing plot twists. Let's take a moment to review and synthesize this sensory experience. Let's put these English words to work for our listener.
A great idea.
We have focused on four incredibly descriptive words today: silky, translucent umami, and polarizing. But instead of just repeating definitions, let's look at how you might actually use these words naturally in an everyday, non-noodle scenario.
Okay, let's imagine a relatable situation. Say you are at a dinner party, and a friend, who is known for being a terrible cook, is trying out a very experimental new recipe on you.
Oh, this sounds like a disaster already. Okay. I sit down at the table, and my friend brings out this bizarre jelly dessert. I look at it, and it is completely translucent.
Translucent.
Yes. I can vaguely see a single strawberry suspended in the middle of it. It lets just enough light through to look a little ghostly and weird.
You are nervous, but you take a polite bite.
Yeah.
You expect it to be chunky or rough, but surprisingly, it has a perfectly silky texture.
Silky.
Right, it just glides over your tongue without any resistance or greeniness at all. It is perfectly smooth.
But here's the problem. It is a jelly dessert, right? It is supposed to be sweet, but my friend accidentally used beef broth instead of water when making the gelatin.
Oh, no.
So suddenly, my mouth is flooded with this deep, savory, meaty umami flavor in a strawberry jelly.
Which naturally brings us to our final word. A savory, beef-flavored strawberry dessert is going to be incredibly polarizing among the guests at the dinner party.
Very polarizing.
Half the table might think it is a bold, artistic culinary masterpiece, and the other half will politely spit it out into a napkin and just order a pizza.
I am definitely in the half ordering the pizza. But, you can see how powerful these words are when you put them into action.
They are very useful.
You aren't just memorizing food terms, you are learning how to paint very vivid, precise pictures with your English. You can use polarizing for a controversial movie ending, or translucent for a beautiful shower curtain. It gives you a totally new way to express your reality.
I want to leave you with one final thought to ponder as you practice your English this week. We spend a lot of time putting things into very neat, strict categories.
We do.
But consider the vast contradictions of humble rice flour. It can simultaneously be a gentle, comforting, warm hug that makes you feel entirely safe and relaxed.
Just a soothing bowl of soup.
Yes, and yet, simply by changing the broth and throwing in some fermented bamboo shoots, that exact same noodle transforms into a fiercely polarizing experience, one that tests your bravery and wakes up all your senses.
It is completely transformed.
The noodle itself is just a blank canvas. It is completely defined by the landscape of flavor you choose to build around it.
A blank canvas that holds the whole meal together. I absolutely love that perspective. And honestly, all this talk about silky textures and rich umami gravies, it has made me incredibly hungry.
Me too.
Thank you for joining us today on Taste Shine and Learn English. We really hope you picked up some fantastic new vocabulary and, discovered a new craving along the way.
Keep practicing those words.
Absolutely. Now, if you enjoyed our conversation today, please like, share, and subscribe to our channel. It really helps us bring more of these deep dives to you. Now, I have to go because a steaming bowl of springy noodles is calling my name. See you at the next food stall.